What's up, everybody? It's your boy Kenny. We're back with another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about factual UFC narratives that fans don't want to believe. So these are narratives that make sense and they have so much facts to back it up and just stats to back it up, but the UFC fans just don't want to believe it, whether if they don't like the fight or they just refuse to acknowledge it. But all these are going to be true. First narrative I'm going to start off with is the fact that Islam Makhachev is the best striker in the UFC. I've said this in so many videos before. Islam Makhachev's striking is crisp, it's accurate. He's won against the best strikers. This is such an easy narrative to defend because if you could just look at his resume and look at the level of strikers that Islam has won against, you know he's beaten all the best strikers and done it in the most impressive ways possible. We've seen him against the Charles Oliveira fight. Before Charles Oliveira fought him, people were talking about how dangerous Charles was on the feet because he dropped Michael Chandler. He uppercutted Justin Gaethje into an oblivion. He's doing all these great stuff against these great strikers, showing off his power. And then people were painting the narrative that he's going to catch Islam. He's going to hit Islam with a cool shot. He's going to drop him. Painting all these weird narratives. And what happened when they fought? The only person who got dropped in that fight was Charles. Ultimately, he got finished on the ground. So he proved himself against a dangerous striker with heavy hands in Charles Oliveira. What did he do after that? He went against Volkanovski, who was pound for pound #1 at the time and had a crazy performance against Max Holloway, who's looked at as the best boxer in the UFC. So a lot of people said, if Islam can't take down Volk, it's over. Because if you can't take down Volk, you're going to be forced to trade with him and it's not going to be good for you. Then what happened in that fight? He pieced him up for rounds 1 through 4 on the feet. And then in round 5, he got caught, yes, but he got caught due to a takedown attempt, not due to a lack of his striking. And in the second fight, obviously, they rematched, and I don't even got to get into it. We know what happened. Islam Makhachev showed why his striking is top tier. And if that wasn't enough, in his most recent fight against Dustin Poirier, who's supposed to be the best boxer in UFC history, went in there, he got outboxed by Islam Makhachev, got kneed up the middle. Every single department of striking, Islam was levels ahead of Dustin Poirier in that fact. So he slacked in that. So when we look at Islam Makhachev, it seems like a hot take just because he's so well-rounded. When you're good at other departments of fighting, you look at someone and be like, oh, no, they can't be the best striker because they're good at wrestling. No, that doesn't make sense. You can't just say he's not a good striker because of the fact that he's a really good wrestler and a really good grappler. So if I say Islam Makhachev's the best striker in the UFC today, it really can't be argued against it because I have facts to support my statement. Half of your statements are going to be based on opinions like, oh, but I just think Sean O'Malley looks better because Sean O'Malley beat up Chito Vera, who's a punching bag. That doesn't make sense. Chito Vera is not on the same striking skill as someone like Dustin Poirier and Volkanovski. When I say Islam's the best striker, I better not hear no one disagree because facts support it. Second take I have is Belal Muhammad is the most dominant fighter in the UFC today. Belal has been an underdog in his last 4 fights. He was an underdog going into the fight with Luque, underdog against Gilbert Burns, underdog against Sean Brady. He's always the underdog. He's always the person supposed to lose the fight. He was even an underdog against Wonderboy Thompson. But every single one of those fights, they weren't close. Like when you're an underdog in a fight, usually you're hoping that the fight might be close, but they might give the advantage to the favorite. But in all those fights, he was dominant. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson got 30-25. Not 30-27, 30-25. He destroyed him. One-sided fight. Someone like Luque got destroyed as well. And Luque beat him in the first fight, and everyone expected him to get knocked out again or lose again, but he beat him in the second fight, beat him in the rematch. Sean Brady, 15-0, rising prospect, running through everyone, goes against Belal, doesn't just get dominated, he gets finished in the second round. Gilbert Burns, one of the bigger favorites, supposed to beat Belal Muhammad. What happened with Gilbert Burns? He got 50-45. And Belal Muhammad went into that fight with a foot injury. And I know that Gilbert Burns hurt his arm in the fight. But going into a fight with an injury is different than hurting yourself in a fight. They fight, they're supposed to hurt themselves. So the fact that Belal Muhammad is always the underdog, but he has these one-sided fights. These fights are, like I said, they're not close. These aren't like competitive. He's just going in there and destroying them. If he can't take them down, he's beating them on the feet like what he did to Brady and Burns. If he can't take them down, he's 30-25 in them like he did to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. So my thing is, like, you look at Belal, I know he doesn't get a lot of, he doesn't have a lot of fans. People don't really like him. But if you look at how dominant he is as a fighter, you start to realize that, yeah, I might not like Belal, but he is the most dominant fighter in the UFC today. It sounds crazy to say out loud, but then you look at his resume and you see that facts support it. He's been undefeated for years. He has the second longest win streak in welterweight today behind Leon Edwards. And I think he's going to go in there as the underdog against Leon Edwards and do what? What he always does best, dominate. He's going to go in as the underdog again. He's going to take Leon to deep waters, and he's going to beat him comfortably. So when people say Belal Muhammad is boring, Belal Muhammad, they're all saying it because they hate him. And always the underdog. They bet money against him. They lose their money, so they hate Belal. Belal is the most dominant fighter in the UFC today. Last but not least, the last thing I'm going to go with is Israel Adesanya is the middleweight GOAT. This is so hard for people to grasp and understand, even though it's so logical. It has so much facts to support it and so much facts to back it. Like, we look at someone like Anderson Silva and people are just they're so nostalgic. They have that nostalgic vibe where they want to protect this fighter and look at him like, oh my God, it's Anderson Silva though, longest win streak, so much title defenses. But then you look at who the people he was beating, you look at the Travis Lutters, the Chris Lebens, the Forrest Griffins, they might be notable names, but skill for skill, they're nowhere near the amount of skill that Israel Adesanya has beat. I feel like Robert Whittaker would go there and destroy everyone in that whole weight class. Same with Alex Pereira. A lot of people that Izzy beat would have ran that division way better than someone like Anderson Silva. And I have nothing against Anderson Silva. He's a great fighter, but Israel Adesanya definitely beat the better competition. The best striking performance Anderson Silva had was probably Forrest Griffin, and Forrest Griffin can't strike. Izzy has good striking performances against good strikers. Look what he did to Alex Pereira, one of the best strikers in UFC history. Robert Whittaker too. Paulo Costa too. He has way better, and he's knocking these guys out. He's finishing these great strikers. Anderson Silva hasn't finished a great striker before because he just hasn't won against a striker of that skill. So it's no offense to Anderson Silva, but we know that Izzy beat the better fighters. Now you might look at me and say, okay, he beat the better fighters. It's not Anderson Silva's fault. He just beat whoever's in front of him. Cool, we could say that about Izzy too, because Izzy and him both lapped their division. But one thing that Silva couldn't do that I emphasize every video when possible is that they both lost their belts. He lost it to Chris Weidman. Izzy lost it to Alex Pereira. One person got that belt back, and it was by knockout in the best fashion ever. And the fact that Alex Pereira is just way better than Chris Weidman in every department makes that so much better. And he's the only two-time middleweight champion in UFC history. So if your only thing to support Anderson Silva is, oh, but he's just been reigning longer. He was champion in one fight in the UFC. He had one fight before the title. Izzy beat Rob Wilkinson. They got a title fight. He'd be the GOAT too. It's so easy to have all these accolades when you have a title fight in the second fight in your career. So that being said, like, I don't know how people ever look at Izzy and Anderson Silva and think that Silva's better. It's probably just because nostalgia bias, but we're in a new age, we're in a new world, and I feel like people got to open their eyes and understand who the better fighters are, and it's clearly Israel Adesanya. All right, guys, it's going to be it for me. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about these narratives and takes. Do you think I was cooking, or y'all think like, no. Because I'm telling you guys, if you actually listen to the video and listen to the facts, you're going to start to realize every one of these takes are factual, but they don't like to give these people credit either because they don't like them or they're just too good for them to like. So it just doesn't make sense to me. But that's it for me, guys. Peace out. God bless. 2, 3.